Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Christopher Woodburn, and this is a brand new episode of Schmoedown All Access. I got a couple of my closest cohorts with me today. First up, my co-host, the villain himself, Haven Pendergast. What's cracking, bro?
Hey, what's up, buddy? It was an interesting week we had last week in the Schmoedown.
It certainly was. And finally, the King of Hearts, James Shimo. How's it going, man?
Yeah, it's going. Like I said, I'm a little laid up right now, but I had to make it for All Access one way or the other. Hell or high water, man.
Absolutely. So, fellas, we had a few matches last week. We'll kick off with Mike Carlson took on Eric Zipper in part of this whole IG tournament that Kalinowski has thrown together. Now, come this match, Zipper, we know him from World's Finest. He had competed, and he was impressive, but we didn't really know the extent of his IG knowledge, and he was taking on Carlson, who he had a bit of a rough showing in that Fatal 5-Way earlier this year. So, coming to this match, James, who are you picking, rooting for in this match?
Heading into this, like I said, like you said, we had seen a little bit of Zipper from World's Finest. We only really saw that one match with Carlson in that Fatal 5-Way, which he was kind of in and out of. So I was really pulling more for Zipper in this one. He seemed like he had a little bit more experience. I mean, aside from only having Carlson only had one match, we've seen Zipper in several, including the free for all. So I kind of gave him the experience edge a little bit more in this outing.
Yeah, I felt pretty much the same way. Now, Zamir, Carlson, he seems like he's going to be playing the heel angle here, just based on his whole attitude and persona in that match. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, though I'm not sure whether he's playing the heel or he's playing the Valiant, because he looks like he's falling asleep like 90% of this match.
Yeah, he did kind of seem disinterested. So after the first round, it was all tied up at 5. Now, the thing that stood out to me was both of them missed on question 8. What was the quote? What was the answer to Mas Kanata's line? Blank is spreading through the galaxy. Then both of them missing first order was quite surprising to me. Like, how could they miss that? That seemed, I mean, Mike was a little closer on the nose saying Kylo Ren, but still missing. I mean, how could they miss that? It seemed pretty basic to me.
Well, you got to remember that even though it is inner geekdom, and a lot of people obsess over inner geekdom, myself included, some people obsess more over certain aspects of it than others. Some people are stronger in Star Trek, other people are stronger in Star Wars, others are more in the Middle Earth, others are more in the MCU. I myself am much stronger in Star Wars than I am in Star Trek. So this is full disclosure, I saw The Force Awakens 7 times in theaters. I knew the answer to that, but other people who don't really follow that nearly as closely might not have been paying that close of an attention, especially in that scene. But again, it just comes down to it. But yeah, if you're gonna be in an Inner Geekdom match, you got to do whatever you can to really hone down every single detail, and especially the finer details when it comes to those Star Wars questions.
Yeah, and I saw Force Awakens 6 times in the theaters. It was a really solid film. I don't care if anybody says it was a remake of The New Hope. I disagree.
Again, another topic of the day.
Yep, definitely. So, like I said, it was tied up at 5 after the first round, and Eric went ahead and spun Spinner's Choice, and he went with MCU, and he did pretty damn well. He went 5 out of 5, got 8 points. I mean, how well did you do in that round? I actually knew a good bit of those answers as well.
Yeah, I also knew a good bit of those answers. Like I remembered, believe that was the round where they got asked about the girl he was seeing in Avengers being a cellist. I remember that. I would have had to gone to multiple choice, like maybe 1 or 2 times in that, but for the most part, I would have probably hit at least 8 to 10 points, give or take.
Yeah, the cellist question, that was the second question that Eric got.
Right.
Yeah, I think honestly the only question I would have had to go multiple choice on is what was the name of the pizza owner in Spider-Man Homecoming?
Yeah, I would have had to do that too.
Yeah. So then Mike gets his turn. He spins Heroes, elects not to keep it, and then spins Star Trek. And he did the best he could. You could tell it wasn't really a strong point for him. He went 4 for 5 for 6 points. Eric did get a 1-point steal. I mean, like I said, Mike, he did the best he could. Those were some incredibly tough questions. How well did you do on them?
I probably wouldn't have done near as well on those questions as I would have with like any other category in the Inner Geekdom. When it comes to Star Trek, with like the newer films, like from the Abrams one in 2009 onward, I would have done fine because I actually really enjoy those films. With the older ones, it's been so long since I've really seen them that I would have had to really gone back and like studied them like at least a good 3 to 4 times through each before I would have been prepped for maybe 90% of those questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the easy ones for me anyway were who directed Star Trek Beyond, Justin Lin, and then what was the name of the ship that Khan overtakes in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan Reliant? Those were the only two that I knew were the answers for.
Yeah, those two I more than likely would have had to go to multiple choice for just to eliminate, because I was stuck between James Wan and Justin Lin on that one question. I knew it couldn't have been James Wan, but I knew it was somebody who had directed like some kind of action movie, and I couldn't remember what it was at the time. But I knew it started with a J, so give me some kind of credit. But then yeah, with the Reliant, I definitely would have had to gone multiple choice on that because there's just so many different ships in Starfleet to keep it in line. So.
Yeah. So I mean, after round 2, Zipper was up 14-11, and he chose his numbers 12, 9, and 3, and then Mike went with 8, 7, and 6. And on Mike's 2-point question, it was name the character who played the goddess of the Thuggy cult in Indiana Jones and I believe the Temple of Doom.
Right, it wasn't to just name the goddess that they worshipped.
Yeah, and he didn't know that answer. It was Kalima, if I'm pronouncing it right. Kalima. Yeah, thank you. So then on his 3-pointer was for Marvel, and it was what was the name of the high school that Peter attends in The Amazing Spider-Man? I actually did know this, and the answer was Midtown, but Mike did not. And then on this 5-pointer, it was for everybody's dreaded category, scores and soundtracks. It was who composed what film did Ramin Djawadi compose in the MCU? And I surprisingly knew this as well. Mike did not. The answer was Iron Man. So Eric, he gets a pretty quick TKO. What were your overall thoughts on the match?
Yeah, like I said, it seemed like it was fairly back and forth for most of rounds 1 and 2, but yeah, that third round, like I said, whether it's the wheel or whether it's the third round, those are the 2 rounds that could either make or break you. And we actually saw that in a later match this week as far as round 2 goes. But yeah, you got to be careful when choosing those numbers because you never know what's going to be. Like you could pick a lucky number, or what you think is a lucky number, and then it slaps you with scores and soundtracks, and it's just like, shit. So, but yeah, I didn't know that one. I knew Kali, and I knew, why am I blanking on that other one?
Midtown?
Yeah, I knew Midtown. Thank you. But yeah, I knew both of those, but I wouldn't have gotten that 5-pointer, not without any kind of help. But yeah, I mean, Carlson takes another L, and Zipper moves on in the tournament, which that'll be definitely interesting to see where he goes, because I believe, let's see, well, we'll go over who's moved on and when we get to the later match on Friday, so I won't take up too much on that. But yeah, one way or the other, however these brackets, if you even want to call them that, shakedown. It more or less feels like these guys have been thrown in a tumbler for a lotto machine, and they just keep pulling out random numbers to pair people up. So who knows?
Yeah, we'll get to more about Zipper a little bit later. So let's talk a little bit about the pre-match and the post-match stuff for this. We had Thad interrupting the Viper Squad and informing them that they're going to do a triple threat match with Janine, Stacy, and the Android. I mean, who's your favorite going this match? I mean, we're all going to, most of us reactors anyway, are going to be rooting for Janine, but is Android the clear-cut favorite in this thing?
From just an experience standpoint, you kind of have to give Andreyko the advantage here. Now, granted, like you said, as far as being reactors go, yeah, I want to see Janine do well, because I want to see all the reactors who compete in this league do well. I want to see Janine do well. I want to see Taylor do well. I want to see Late to the Party do well, because the better they do, the more likely it is that other reactors like us are going to get the invite to go and, just hang out or even whatever. But yeah, I mean, like I said, barring anything else, and even then, you can't discount the role that Stacy's been on lately either. But as far as consistency and as far as a report card goes, it's kind of hard to not bet on Andreyko for this.
Yeah. I mean, I like Android. He's a part of the Fife Club, my favorite faction, but then Janine's a close personal friend, so I want to see her succeed. That's going to be a tough match for me anyway.
I mean,
so then,
when you brought that up, it made me think of the most recent Incredibles 2 trailer, because I know you probably didn't pay much attention, but there's a bit where it's revealed that Elastigirl is the choice to go and like try to bring superheroes back into the limelight, and Mr. Incredible's like, I have to succeed so she can succeed so we all can succeed. And that's kind of the position we're in as far as like, do we root for Janine or not? Because it's like, yeah, we want her to succeed because we want to be able to succeed, because the better she does, the better it is for everybody in the reactors. So, I mean, again, it's a double-edged sword. Do you take the person your heart wants you to bet on or the one your head wants you to bet on? It's a 50-50 split there.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting into this post-match, Ken's looking like he's about to leave the office, and some mysterious person hands him a very suspicious letter. I mean, is that Kalinowski's doing? When will we find out? What's it? What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
It definitely could have been Kalinowski. At least that was my thought going in. But then, based on an interaction we got after, I guess it was after Friday's match, for a little bit, I'm kind of leaning maybe it was another individual that we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, at first glance, you would assume it either has to be Kalinowski, or could it have been a warning from the Horsemen? Could it have been any number of things? So again, until they give us a reason to lean one way or the other, you can't really count out one faction or the other. So
yeah, well, let's jump into Fridays. We had a doubleheader. Let's get into the pre-match, because I think I know where your head was going with that Ken reference. Bibbs was hassling Ken that he wants to take his job at the desk.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that's what you were referring to.
Yep, that was absolutely what I was referring to. Now, again, I could be way off base here. It could have been, again, anybody else. But, man, based on that, Bibbs is coming hard after Ken's commentary position. So could have been a warning there. But then again, you got to think, okay, why would he just reveal himself like that the very next episode? So they could be playing with expectations, or they could be just telling it to us straight out. So who knows? But yeah, that was where my head kind of went when I saw that. It's like, okay, was he the one who sent that note, or was it something completely different? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully sometime soon we'll find out where this all is leading.
With any luck.
All right, so in our first match, we had Modoc, who I'm a kind of a big fan of theirs. I like their whole routine, the entrances that they have, and they were taking on critically acclaimed, who we haven't seen since they lost in last year's tournament to the Reactors, late to the party.
Yep.
And I like critically acclaimed. I like Bibbs. He had a very impressive showing at the free for all, and Whitney. He's a solid competitor in the league. But I was actually taking MODOK in this match. Now, who? I mean, I think you were taking critically acclaimed. Am I correct on that?
For me, it could have gone either way with these two teams. The only reason I might have given a slight edge to critically acclaimed is I feel like sometimes, and again, this has no bearing on how I feel about them as a team, but I feel like sometimes MODOK gets a little too into character, and sometimes getting so far into like their entrance and the characters that they play when they're coming out kind of detracts from the movie knowledge. In like they're so focused on one that the focus is getting pulled from the other. Again, that's just how I look at it. So I was kind of given the edge to critically acclaimed just slightly, but then when you see how both teams ended up coming out and how they were dressed, who knows? The character portrayal could have gone one way or the other with this. But like you said, I was pulling for critically acclaimed just slightly heading into this.
Now let's talk about these entrances. Now, I don't mean to sound like a hater or anything. I was not a fan of both of them coming out to Bill and Ted music and dressed up like Bill and Ted. I'm sorry.
What? That was the best.
I didn't like it. Come at me in the comments. I wasn't a fan of it.
I can see where your head's at with that. If it had just been Rotten Tomatoes coming out there and then critically acclaimed came out just as they normally do, that's fine. To me, the main reason I think critically acclaimed did the same thing was they were trying more like a head game, trying to get into MODOK's head. It's like, okay, let's see who can outdo the other. We can do your shtick better, and we can beat you in movie trivia. So it might have been more of a mental game on critically acclaimed's part than it was anything else.
Well, critically acclaimed came out first.
Oh, they did. Okay. Well, I mean, let's not say that. I know they came out first, but what I'm saying is, it's like, oh, we see you're going to do this. Oh, we're going to do that too, just to kind of mess with you. You know what I mean? So it was like a head game kind of thing rather than anything else. But I can see where, to your point, like the constant gimmicky entrances could get a little bit distracting. But like to me, as long as it stays in the entrance and doesn't permeate into the competition, I'm okay with it. The one match where it really kind of bugged me was when I can't remember if they were going by Rotten Tomatoes back then or if they had transitioned into MODOK, but when they came out dressed as Boris and Natasha from Rocky and Bullwinkle, they played up the character just a little too much, and it ended up hurting them throughout the match. So, like I said, keep it in the entrance. Kayfabe's fine in the entrance, but once all that's done, just be yourself and just play the game, And again, some people agree, some people disagree. But when it comes to those kind of characters, that's when your character matches too much with your entrance and just the joke you're trying to make. That's a little different than something else we'll talk about a little bit later, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, I gotta disagree with Christopher. That was cool. Both of them coming out as Bill and Ted. The whole match, I couldn't tell who was who. I was like, oh, who's answering that question? Oh, wait, which team is this? And especially when they would always play the guitar sound, the guitar riff.
When Drake was doing that, that was funny.
That was awesome. It was cool.
I enjoyed it.
Character. This one, I wholeheartedly agree with James when he made the point about when they did Nasha and Bullwinkle. That cost them the championship, because if they would have just dropped the whole, talking a little too long in character instead of answering the questions, I think they could have won that match. But, hey, what happened, happened. But I thought it was fun. Both teams had a good time. I feel bad for MODOK, but I'll let you guys talk about that, and I'll, jump back in a little bit.
See, I like to point out something that was mentioned in the pre-match interview, is that every team who has defeated MODOK has went on to win the belts. I mean, have they become the Schmoedown stepping stone of the team league?
You kind of hate to think about it that way, but yeah, you're right. There's always like these guys, these kind of like entrance level guys when like in not just in professional wrestling, but in MMA and a few other sports where it's like, okay, we'll give you the not necessarily the scrubs, but the lower tier competitors, see how get your feet wet, and then we'll bring you into the big leagues, and who knows, maybe you'll go on to the title, and when you actually win the title, it's just like, well, damn, look who all of these people beat, early on before they got to a championship. And again, you hate to think, because I'd like to think that, with the knowledge that both Gray Drake and Matt Atchity have, they could be championship material. But, I mean, hot damn. I mean, they got to do a lot to try to get back into that conversation, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they came so close to defeating the Patriots for the title last year, so they absolutely can get there. They got a little bit of ways to go. So, in round one, critically acclaimed, they were up 12-8. Matt, Bibbs, and Whitney they played solid. They all got 6 out of 8, but Gray Drake struggled mightily, only getting 2 correct. I mean, these were some tough questions. I myself actually did quite well in them. I went 7 out of 8, but Gray missing, name the film where Schwarzenegger played John Kimball, which was Kindergarten Cop. I was surprised that she didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you think about that first round?
Yeah, like just to echo what you said, yeah, absolutely. Bibiani, Whitney, Matt Ashley, all the standouts in round one. Gray had a tough day at the office, which is hard to watch because she's like I say constantly about MODOK. They're very fun, they're very entertaining, but to see them, and they've got the knowledge base there, but to see them struggle like that, especially Gray, is kind of hurts your heart a little bit because you want to like them and you want to see them do well. But it looks like other than like a handful of Jeff Goldblum questions, I feel like a Jeff Goldblum question would have saved her in that round because we know how much she loves that guy.
Yeah, and question 3 really threw them all off, which made me feel a little good because it was the one question I got wrong was the answer. I can't remember the director's name, but who directed this film that starred Johnny Depp? And the answer was Billy Bathgate. Like, I had no idea about that answer.
Yeah, no, I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
That.
So like I said, after round 1, critically acclaimed was up 12-8. They went ahead and spun first. First they get westerns, elected not to keep it, and then got animated. And they all navigated their way around it. You could see they weren't, pleased with that category. They went 4 out of 6. Got 7 points. And MODOK, they had 2 golden opportunities to get two times they missed on 2-point steals, which really hurt them.
Yeah.
And then MODOK, they spun 70s movies and then didn't want that, so then they elected to go again. And unfortunately for them, they got Opponent's Choice. And critically acclaimed gave them Western. But surprisingly, MODOK, it did pretty damn well going 6 for 6. Got 9 points. I mean, were you all surprised at how well they were able to maneuver in that round too?
Yeah, because I feel like, aside from maybe John Roca, there aren't a lot of people in the Schmoedown who really appreciate Westerns. Like I said, with maybe the exception of, maybe a Dan Murrell or, anybody who's a true student of film. But, yeah, to see them really kind of navigate that category very well was cool. It hurt to see them kind of miss those opportunities on those animated questions, but they made up for it. And like I said, they made a competitive match out of it, at least trying to get into that third round. Now we can talk about how the third round went all day, but yeah, just in that round 2, yeah, they did very solid. And it was good to see them really hang in there and try to do their best, which they obviously did.
Yeah, I mean, both those categories for me in round 2, they're my worst categories. I think I got 1 question right on for both of them. And who knew that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in a Western in the 70s. I had
Yeah, no,
no
never.
idea.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have gotten that either. Animated, I did fairly well with, but that's because I enjoy animated films. I know you're not as big of a fan, but yeah, I follow a lot of animated films. Again, mainly because I'm still a kid at heart in a lot of ways, and they still speak to me in a lot of ways. I know that's not the same for everybody, and that's cool. Everybody's got different tastes. So
Yeah. And on critically acclaimed, how hard did you laugh? I thought it was pretty funny when Whitney thought that the answer was Olaf for the Frozen question, and then got it wrong, and Bibbs was like, "I'm never trusting you again." Like that was pretty funny to me.
no, that was funny. I think the only time I laughed, maybe just slightly harder, was the Inner Geekdom Championship match between Eamon and Donico when Mark had to read the question in The Force Awakens, who says, "Tell that to Conja Club." That had me freaking rolling after the
Yeah.
fact. I mean, other than that, like I literally got a good chuckle out of that.
Yeah. So after round two, critically acclaimed was still holding on to a lead 19-17. They give their numbers 4, 15, and 16. Modoc goes with 6, 9, and 2. So for their 2-point question, it was in the category crime, which Matt decided to take. It was who played the seductress Lynn Bracken in LA Confidential. I was a little surprised that Matt didn't know Kim Basinger. Like, I don't know a lot about that film, but I knew that answer.
Yeah, same here. Like I was going back and forth between two names. I knew one was Kim Basinger. I couldn't remember who the other one was, but I settled on Kim Basinger, and I'm glad that I did because. But yeah, to see him miss that, especially knowing how much Matt actually knows about film, especially crime films, and especially the history of film, I could have sworn he would have had that answer in his back pocket. And yeah, to see him whiff on that was kind of stung a little bit.
Yeah, because I can remember her on that poster, and I believe it was a white dress.
Yeah, a la Marilyn Monroe. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So then you get to the Modoc's 3-pointer for Gray. It was who plays Philip Haldeman, the actor who portrays Denny in the Disaster Artist. I myself have never seen this film, so I would have just guessed Dave Franco, but Gray missed it. The answer was Josh Hutcherson from the Hunger Games films. Did you know this answer?
I did. It took me a minute to work out his name because I knew it was Josh something, but then I remembered, yeah, he was in the Hunger Games. He was in Bridge to Terabithia, and then I finally pulled his name, and I was like, thank God. Yeah, but yeah. Now, if you haven't seen either The Room or The Disaster Artist, watch both because they are just phenomenally entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I hear. Someday I'll have to get to those films.
Yeah.
So that comes down.
Sorry. If you can, watch The Room first because a lot of the jokes in The Disaster Artist will make a lot more sense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So it comes down to Modoc's 5-pointer for coming-of-age films. It was named the 2013 film that stars Toni Collette, Steve Carell, Sam Rockwell, and Allison Janney. I kept trying to picture this movie, and it did not come to me. And the answer was The Way, Way Back, and of course it didn't come to me because I've never even heard of this film. Did you have any idea of the answer?
Not really. The only ones I could think of as far as because I had fixated on Steve Carell for some reason, and I was thinking it wasn't what was it, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good. Yeah, that whatever that movie was that came out a while back. I'm like, no, that was too recent. And then I was trying to think of the other one that he was in where he was like a wrestling coach or whatever or something, but I'm like, no, that had Channing Tatum in it, so that made no sense. I had heard of The Way, Way Back, but I'd never actually seen it. So, now after seeing this, I was like, well, maybe I better take another look at that because that may come up in another match at some point down the line. So, definitely got to sharpen my sword on that if you pardon the French. Anyway, but yeah, no, I had no clue on that one. When they said it at the end, I was like, oh, wow, never saw that one. Oh, well.
Yeah, that was a super deep cut.
Yeah, I don't think my movie pass was that point.
Yeah. So I mean, critically acclaimed to get the 19-17 point victory via TKO. I mean, I was wrong about this match. I thought critical acclaim might be a tad overrated, but they came strong and they pulled out the victory.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've gotten out of the business of counting out critically acclaimed. I mean, especially in teams, those two have been on a roll recently. I know Bibiani's had his struggles a little bit in like the singles and things like that, but when he and Whitney get together, those two are a force to be reckoned with. So yeah, I mean, it was good to see them really kind of bounce back after the disappointment in the Ultimate Schmoedown. Now, like I said, all credit to MODOK. Like I know they're both phenomenally entertaining. They commit to every bit that they do, whether it's the Sister Act thing, whether it was the Bill and Ted thing here, whether it was the Natasha and Boris thing a while back, or the what was another one that they did? Why am I blanking on this now? It was a Back to the Future. So there was, like I said, they commit to all their bits, but I think the commitment to the bit kind of takes away from their focus on the trivia because they're so busy playing up the character. So I'm going to say maybe that's something for them to think about going forward. But yeah, either way, I thought this was a very solid team match overall, and we'll see how the team standings shake up now because we've got an Iron Man match coming in just under 3 weeks, I think, for the collision between
July
the Patriots.
13th.
Yep, the Patriots and Above the Line going 30 minutes. And then whoever comes out of that on top is going to have a lot of contenders nipping at their heels. So sky's the limit at this point.
Yeah, they'll be whoever wins that will be facing the winner of Shire Wolves and World's Finest.
That's right.
All right, so now we're going to move on to the main event. We got Killer. He's back with the Killer nickname, Mike Kalinowski, taking on Jared Habon. Now, I know Haven has a lot of things to say about this. Killer's been on a mission. He's implemented this whole tournament format. He's been calling out everybody, calling people sheep. Haven, what would you like to say about this match, and what would you like to say to Killer? Okay, we'll get to Haven. He might not be ready at the moment.
I'll come back.
So yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts, on Kalinowski's whole this road that he's traveled down?
Well, what more can you say? I'm not going to call him Killer Kalinowski. I'm not going to call him KO Kalinowski. I'm going to call him Chaos Kalinowski because that's pretty much what he's done. He has thrown this entire Intergeekdom division into absolute anarchy. Like, just whatever he's got over Thad has got to be major for him to have this much stroke to be able to put basically any kind of match together in Intergeekdom that he wants and to pretty much do whatever he wants. I mean, he came in there, he was throwing graphics up on the wall, he was giving shit to Christian and Mark. I'll say it, I've said it before, I'll say it a million more times. Kalinowski is doing some of the best heel work I think we've ever seen in the Schmoedown. And, you can't deny that with the shift in the attitude, the way he's been carrying himself on social media, the back and forth that he's having. I mean, this is straight up how wrestlers used to be back in the day when it was all still like everybody still thought it was real and everything. Like they would go out, they wouldn't travel together if there were good guys and bad guys. Good guys traveled with good guys, bad guys traveled with bad guys. If they didn't, they got fined or they got fired. And that's the way that it works. I mean, they kept up every pretense outside of the ring, and that's exactly what Kalinowski is doing, and I commend him for it.
Oh, yeah, I'm loving it. I mean, I've always been a fan of Kalinowski, but this heel turn, and you're right, this is some of the best heel shit we've ever seen.
I'll say he's better than heel Roca. He's been far better than heel Roca in anything that we've seen.
Well, I think the gold standard for heel is either the Patriots or Andrew Guy, and I'm liking Kalinowski even more.
Yeah, he's definitely in that conversation.
Now, something that I've been tinkering with, the idea of possible, maybe I could be completely off base here, but is it possible that Christian is in cahoots with Kalinowski?
Honestly, that would be a cool swerve, but I don't think so. My instinct is to say no, but never say never in this kind of situation. But as far as I can tell, Kalinowski's gone completely rogue. I don't think he wants anything to do with Christian. He doesn't want anything to do with that other than whatever he's, just putting him on a string and say, dance, puppet, dance. But honestly, I think KO's out for one person only, and that's himself. And I don't think he's really got anybody else kind of, doing anything for him, unless it's just some unknown person in the back feeding him all this information to hold over, Thad or whoever else he's trying to manipulate at the time. But, I mean, regardless, if Christian is working with him, like I said, cool swerve, because that would be an interesting way for Christian to try to get his commissioner position back. Whether or not he wants it back on screen or not is completely, up in the air. But like I said, it'd be cool if that was the case. But at first glance, I'm hesitant to think that way.
See, and that's why I believe it, because Christian wants that commissioner job back. I mean, he challenged Thad to a match, but Thad declined it. Christian wants it back. So what better way to get himself back in the role than to have KO fucking play games with Thad?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. There is a story to be told there. Again, my question is Christian willing to resort to that, or does he want to get it back the fair and square way? Because we've seen how Thad kind of snaked his way in there and things like that. But I don't know that Christian, at least, in kayfabe terms, wants to do it, wants to stoop to Thad's level to try to get his spot back. I think he'd rather do it straight up. But again, like I said, it'd be a nice kind of storyline to throw in there, and a nice monkey wrench to throw in Thad's plans if Christian was the one behind, corruption Kalinowski or whatever, however you want to term him. But yeah, like I said, I won't be shocked if that pans out. But again, at first glance, I'm hesitant to say that that's absolutely the case. But we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. So let's get into this match. So yeah, Kalinowski, he came out strong. He got 8 out of the 10 questions right. Jared, he did decent. Got 6 out of 10. I thought it was a little. The question 4: what was Harry Potter's age when Hagrid visited him to give him his acceptance letter into Hogwarts? Yeah, that question actually threw me, because I thought the answer was 13.
Nope.
So you knew he was 11?
Yeah, I had read all of the novels before I'd seen any of the movies, and I remember that specifically it was on his 11th birthday when Hagrid showed up with a birthday cake and his official acceptance letter. So, that was, like I said, I've always been a huge Potter fan. Like I said, reading the novels and then seeing the movies, and heck, I even read the follow-up novel that came out, that J.K. Rowling did. That's now a play going on in London. So,
Cursed Child.
Yeah, Cursed Child. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't trying to. I knew what the title was. I just didn't know if you were familiar with it, so that's why I just threw that in there. But yeah, like I said, big Potter fan, so I knew that going in. I'm trying to think if there was any question that really threw me for a loop. And I can't think of any right now.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you knew this, but it was surprising when Jared missed on question 8. It was what character in Star Wars always sinks with their stomach? The answer was Chewbacca, yeah. But Jared, he guessed Jabba the Hutt.
Well, I could see that being the case. Being that Jabba's like a big-time gangster, like he obviously thinks with more than just that. He's not just a constant glutton, though there definitely could be an argument made for the fact that he is, but he's way smarter than that. No, so I knew Chewie was always, because I remember, I think Han has a line. It's like, what do you think was something other than your stomach? It's either Han or Leia or something like that.
Han says it to him because Chewie's seen that carcass that was hanging, and then that's how Chewie grabs it, and that's how they get trapped in the net.
Right. Jedi, you're right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it's been a while since.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's been a while since I've seen Return of the Jedi. I've watched more Empire and New Hope than I've watched of that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think the questions that always throw me for a loop is the Lord of the Rings Middle Earth questions. Those are ones that, unless it's an actor playing a character, I'm almost guaranteed to not know it.
like I knew the question about the sword that cut the ring from Sauron's hand. Like I knew that one. I think that one came up in round 2 though. Because I think Habon had that in round 2. But yeah, like Lord of the Rings, like I said, the only questions I really have a lot of trouble with in Inner Geekdom are Star Trek, and then occasionally I'll have a problem with like a Hobbit question because who even cares about those movies?
And tell me, how much did you love after question 7? Kalinowski gave Andrew Guy this about a question, implying it was way too easy. That was great.
Oh yeah, that's great. Like I said, his heel work has been top notch for the last number of weeks, and just the constant side comments and just every single little jab that he can throw anybody's way is just it's icing on the cake.
Yeah. So like I said, after round 1, Killer was up 8-6. Jared Mike deferred to him. And Jared, unfortunately, he spun opponent's choice, and Killer gave him Middle Earth. Now, this is something I want to mention for round 1. Now, you could disagree with me, probably. I think that Middle Earth and Lord of the Rings, I think they should be just one category. Should there be 2 separate categories for these things? I don't believe there should be.
In terms of the round 2, I can see why they combine them. In round 1, I can see why they separate them because they want to cover as much ground as they can in that round 1 because you have 10 different questions. And if you just went and they want to do it in 10 separate categories, so you kind of have to subdivide it in that respect because, again, you want to cover as much ground as possible. You can't necessarily throw like 2 mixed bag questions in there because you typically get 1 Star Wars, 1 Star Trek, a Lord of the Rings, a Hobbit question, a mixed bag, a DC, a DCEU, a Marvel, an MCU, and at least 1 Harry Potter.
Well, you could always put a scores and soundtracks question in round 1.
See, I think they save those scores and soundtracks more for like especially the round 3 questions. I think they want to get. Then again, I've noticed this. They want to do not necessarily the easier questions, but they want to save stuff that's more familiar and more, I don't want to say narrow, but the broader kind of categories for the first couple of rounds, and then they get a little bit more specific as they go a little bit higher, as the point values increase and the tension increases in the match. So, I can see the reason why that they separate it like that, because they want to keep, like I said, the general movie categories for that first round, and then the deeper cut questions and the more specific categories they save for the later rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I only say that because I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan. Sorry, people out there. I'm just not.
And hey, like I said, everybody's got their thing, You're obviously the big fan of The Dark Knight. Some people aren't. It's just a thing, You got to kind of accept it.
But I still love you, Rachel Cosani, if you're disappointed in me. So like I said, Jared, he spun opponent's choice. Mike gave him Middle Earth, and Jared did the best he could. He went 3 out of 5, got 3 points. Mike was able to capitalize on 2 steals, getting 3 points. And then Mike, he got Spinner's choice, and he chose DCEU, and he cleaned house. He went 5 for 5, 10 points. I mean, those questions were pretty basic, as Jared pointed out.
Yeah, well, I mean, and like Kalinowski pointed out, they think he's Andrew Guy. They're giving him the softballs. But, I mean, like I said before, that wheel will either bless you or curse you, and goddamn if it didn't do both in equal measure in this match. So, but yeah, Haven, go ahead and chime in, man. I know you're one to really weigh in on this one.
Oh, we're done with the okay. Thanks, guys. I
Tried to bring you in. You didn't say a word.
was walking my animals, my dogs, right when you guys were ending the tag team match, so I knew I wasn't going to be able to jump in when y'all started, so I didn't want to interrupt. Thank you guys for letting me back in. Yo, let me speak on this. Oh, the crowd. Hey, Mike Kalinowski, he thinks he's a villain now. Oh man, that dude's been talking a lot of trash on the Schmoedown page. He says a couple things to me also. We had a couple of back and forths. The new persona, well, we got to see. I like it, the direction that it's going and all that, but he's playing a character. He's no villain. He doesn't have the heart for it. He'll probably turn back face after somebody beats the shit out of him, which is probably going to happen very soon in a match. Obviously, this match was weak. He got, it is what it is in the second round. He played it smart. Can't knock him on that. But his questions were just 1-point questions, man. They were so easy for DCU, and he was able to get a KO. What I got to give him props though for the Shepherd is that he's the only person I believe in the league that has a KO in each division. He's got one in movies, he's got one in tag teams, and he's got one in IG now. But I mean, he's 1 and 2, so he's not even in the top 10, and he's trying to go for the belt. I don't know what he has over Thad. I don't know. I think Thad is probably going to get some muscle to take care of Mike, in a couple weeks. Bring somebody in and, handle that, or he'll probably, put some paint on his face and, come at Mike, deranged, because I don't know what the papers say, but the ending, I know we haven't got there yet, so I'll let you guys take it back. But I want to talk about the ending because it kind of confused me from what they agreed to previously, So Mike, he talking trash, Mike Kalinowski, KO, that guy. Oh man, he's trying to be an Andrew guy, but Snyder is a better heel. Right now he's still the lowest heel on the roster, in my opinion. That's how much I feel about you, Mike. Good work talking trash on Facebook, man, and keeping us entertained. But we all know you ain't about that life.
So Haven, I asked James this question, and I'll pose it to you as well. Could Christian possibly be in cahoots with Mike because he wants his commissioner job back?
That's an interesting concept, it's logical and foundation wise. Like I can see that happening, like a possibility. And if it does, it'll probably be really cool at the end of the season, because hey, Christian used to be known as Darth. He was on the dark side,
Dark, yep.
Maybe he's getting fed up with that, and maybe this is a way that he's gonna do it. But if Mike doesn't get a match at the Spectacular, if he's not gonna play for the IG title, which he won't because he sucks, he won't be able to beat, Crusher. He won't be able to beat another top tier guy in IG. So, unless he got some tricks up his sleeves, which if he does, hey man, then I'll probably get with him. But right now, I'm against that sucker.
And also, I like to point out something that happened in Mike's first question in round 2. It felt really good. I mean, he got the answer on multiple choice, but I knew it without multiple choice. It was, what was the blogger's name in Man of Steel who Lois Lane leaks the information to? I knew it because it had my last name.
This is your friggin' last name.
Woodburn.
Yeah, when I seen that question, I was like, oh, Wilburn's in the corner somewhere sweating right now, with his back turned.
Yeah, I'll never forget that name. It's imprinted on my brain.
Oh yeah, no, that was pretty cool. When I was like, oh shit, I said, I bet you Wilburn's getting a kick out of this,
Yeah.
Just for the record, if Mike Kalinowski is watching this, I would like to point out that Haven's views do not reflect the views of myself, nor Christopher Woodburn or Jack of Ultravia as an entity. Thank you very much.
That's true.
So Haven alluded to it. Let's get into this post-match stuff, if you will. So Mike's post match was straight fire, calling everybody sheep. He was kind of going at Jen, because she was stumbling. He was waiting for a question. And then Thad shows up, and might I point out, he was rocking a Baltimore Orioles cap. And he was telling Mike that Mike was gonna be facing Crusher in the second round, but he was like, no, that's not gonna happen. He said that he'll call the match between Cushing, who will be facing the winner of Burnett Donica, which unfortunately that's not happening now. Burnett had to back out because of work. So, yeah, I mean, it happens, and it sucks.
Because he's a great guy. He's a great guy and a great player.
Oh, Burnett is amazing. I was going to help him prepare for his match against Donica.
Yeah, so you say. But he is a sweetheart. He is definitely a sweetheart. He's a great guy.
Hey, if he can't compete against Donica, maybe he wants to help us break down the match between Donica and Gerber on that night. Who knows?
So yeah, so Mike says he's going to call that match. Cushing faced the winner, which now it's Donica versus Gerber, which will be airing this coming Friday. So then you get further into the post match. Mike shows up in Thad's office and tells Thad he wants the winner of which was previously Burnett and Donica, which is now Donica and Gerber, and that Cushing is going to be facing Eric Zipper at the Collision. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on all of this?
James?
To me, it's classic heel tactics. I mean, the guy's dodging the number one guy. He wants the guys at the lower tiers of the totem pole so he can take them out. Then he'll find a way to try to weasel his way into a victory against the top guy the Cushing if and when he gets there. So I mean, he's playing it smart from a heel standpoint, and especially since whatever he's got over Thad seemingly makes him by default commissioner of the Inner Geekdom League, because he's able to call all these freaking shots and make all these matches. And apparently Thad is missing a sack and a spine, so that's what else are you going to do about it? But yeah, I mean, to me, it's smart strategy. He's going for the lower tier in the pecking order and trying to increase his record and put him in a better position. So maybe even when he comes out of this tournament, he's in a better position in the top 10 rankings to where he can maybe challenge after the fact. So, again, that's just the way I look at it. Haven?
Man, it reminds me of he's got that WCW Hollywood Hogan contract, man. He books his own finishers, and he says, he sees the dirt sheet, not the dirt sheet, but he watches probably the dirt sheet, whatever they call it. He's looking at it for that rundown that night and like, nope, this match is going to change. Oh, I'm not facing this person. Nope. So he's got that going for him. You said it correctly. He's got strategy. But we'll have to see, man, what he has over Thad. Hopefully it's a good payoff. Maybe it's Thad, I don't know, in a compromising situation, I don't know where they'll go with it. It could be fun. Maybe they'll do like a Triple H Kane, Katie Vick storyline, maybe that'd be awesome since Christian remembers all that stuff from his time working at WWF at WWE. So I don't know, man. This guy with his sheet, man. Like I said, he's he thinks he's a heel until a real heel steps up to him and shows him how to play the game. He sent some unflattering remarks to me on Facebook, which it's always in good taste, to talk a little smack to a competitor, but not to cross the line with them, as long as people like myself and anybody else in the Schmoedown community, can have fun with the players, but you can't take it to extremes and go too far because they're real people. You don't want to cross that line. But yeah, he's talking shit to me, man, and it's always amazing. It's always cool to have a Schmoedown competitor interact with you. So, but yeah, he's I can't wait till some real heel, maybe like the Lions Den, maybe Bobby Gucci, slap him around, put him in his place, show him what a real heel is.
Oh please. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The only thing Gucci about Tom Dagnino is the freaking handbag his parents left him in a freaking orphanage in. Jesus.
Hey man, he's got the best. He got the best chest here in the game.
And by the way, if Kalinowski's playing Hollywood Hogan, please God don't let there be any kind of finger poke of doom scenarios. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, for me personally, I'm loving this angle because Kalinowski is setting it up perfectly. He wants to face Cushing in the finals for this tournament, and what better finals could we get than that? I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and how poetic would that be with the run that he's on? If he can take out Cushing, one of the people who took him out of the #1 contenders rankings for the singles title at the beginning of the year, to get him back into a title match at another time at the next live event to take out Rachel Cushing. I think, again, it's a good story if, in fact, the fates decide that that's the way things are meant to go.
Especially after how badly she defeated him.
Oh, yeah, knocked out.
Yeah,
I mean, it was ugly. Mm-hmm. That was not how Mike envisioned starting the new season.
Quote Jim Ross, that was
even
ugly.
Eve did better than him.
Yeah, which had to be eating him alive.
Yeah. So let's get into this upcoming week's matches. We got tomorrow. We got a debuting player, Mara Kanopik, who none of us are too familiar with. We know she's from Screen Junkie. She's Dan Murrell's girlfriend. She's taking on Coy Jandrew.
Well, is that true? You don't be spitting on lies. You got to make sure you have facts before you say some shit like that in here.
What about Mara Kanopik?
Yeah.
If that's what we're referring to, she is Dan Murrell's girlfriend.
Okay, I was saying, as long as you're 100% on that.
Okay.
Oh yeah. That's been out there for a little while. I'm surprised you guys didn't know about it. Because every time I see her name mentioned, that follows it.
Okay. I actually picked her up when I realized this match was happening in my fantasy league. So I hope she has a strong debut and kicks some ass so I can get some fantasy points.
Well, I think I could be wrong, but recently Kristen teased that we're going to be seeing a new superstar in the league. I'm thinking it's going to be her. Because, I mean, like I said, she's Dan Murrell's girlfriend, one of the greatest to ever do it. So it very well could be her, and I think it is. So I'm taking her in this match.
I don't know. Like I said, I mean, Coy's been kind of 50-50, when it comes to Inner Geekdom. He's been good in some ways. He's been kind of off in others. So, I mean, to see a new again, you can't discount the X factor that a new competitor will bring in. So, yeah, I guess I'll go with Mara as well. That'll be pretty interesting. And again, with being in a relationship with Dan Murrell, they've got to probably have had like movie marathons constantly, constant conversations about all manner of different movies. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. And then on Friday, we got, like we said, Burnett had to back out of the match, unfortunately. We got Sean Gerber taking on Donica. Now, I mean, on the surface, you would think Donica would take this because, he's had more success in the league. He challenged for the belt. He didn't win it, but he challenged for it. I'm actually looking at an upset here. I'm going with Sean Gerber to pull it out.
Bold prediction. Yeah, I mean, I kind of can't discount Donica's experience here, though. I mean, he's been in more high-profile matches than Gerber has at this rate. He's had the experience of being in a championship match and getting that close to a title. Coming up short tends to make you a lot hungrier on the back half. So I think I'm gonna say Donica's a little bit more motivated to get there this time around. So I'm gonna go for Donica in this match.
Okay, I mean, I can respect that, and Donica, he very well could win. I like an upset here.
I'm gonna say no problem there.
Haven, do you have any thoughts on these upcoming matches this week?
Some of these players I'm not familiar with. Some of these players played, once before, if anything. So, I'm just gonna watch them and hopefully they have a good showing. I'm gonna watch the matches and root for the people that are in my fantasy draft, and I'm going to root against the people that other people have in my fantasy draft, so they don't get the points. But other than that, I don't have a horse in this race. So,
Like I said, it's just kind of fun to fantasy book every now and then.
All right. Well, unless you guys have any other thoughts, that about does it for me.
Yeah, I think that just about covers it.
I just want to say, the one thought I did have was was it before the match, or I think it was before the match, if I'm not mistaken, the tag team match when we had William talking to Ken about the death.
We mentioned that.
Yeah, that was pre-match.
Yeah, and then Mike.
No, that was
that was between
that was
the tag and the Inner Geekdom match.
Yeah, that was in between.
Okay, so I think it's cool that a lot more people from that are actually competitors want to be on the desk. So I think that might be something that's happening. So I think that's pretty cool. Get a different perspective.
And also, Haven, did you have any thoughts about that letter that was handed to Ken? Like, you have any thoughts about that?
Yes, I do. I think I don't think it's a letter. I think it's maybe some pictures. It might be a flash drive in the mailbox of Thad. Lonely one night, just walks into the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe he's bending over. Maybe wearing some kind of outfit a grown man shouldn't be wearing, and maybe some actions happen, and maybe they'll expose that on the next episode of the Schmoedown.
Who do you think is behind it? Could it be Kalinowski or possibly Bibbs?
It's not Bibbs. Bibbs got, I don't know. Bibbs is too far off on the main storyline that they're doing. I don't see it being Bibbs. There's really no evidence saying it's Bibbs. Like you said, I think it could be Christian. Maybe Christian and this guy and Mike the sheep herder made a deal because Christian's fed up with Thad's lack of commissioner authority that he's doing. I thought he was only supposed to have it for 6 months, so we got to see. Maybe Chris wants him out, man. Because it's his baby, and he has some other guy running it right now, and I don't think he's taking too kindly to that. So it could be, made a deal. Maybe they.
But it could be Bibbs because it could play into the whole where Bibbs wanted to take his job at the desk.
Bibbs he talked to Ken about just hosting a match. That's not
taking
over.
He specifically said he wants to take Ken's job.
Yeah, he literally said that.
I think that's a different storyline. That's a different storyline.
All right, I don't know.
Yeah, just like
I do agree with you that I think it's really cool when we see these different kind of team ups at the desk every now and then. Like we get Emma Fife and Mark Ellis sometimes. We get Ken and Emma sometimes. We'll get Mark and Mark, or Mark if you're Spanish. Fun little joke there. But you get Christian and Ken sometimes. You get Christian and Bibiani. You'll get Christian and Jen Sturger, which I really enjoyed them together on the free for all. So, like I said, I think it's fun when you get new personalities on the commentary desk because it lets them really show more of their character a lot more, and it just creates new dynamics.
I'd like to see Bibbs and Brienne at the desk together.
That'd be interesting.
I want to see some Lions Den members, to be honest. Ever since they lost the titles, they kind of fell on the back burner because of storylines. But Bobby Gucci, Snyder, JT, everybody should, they want to get a shot at the desk. I think everybody will have something to contribute. Some fun talk, some fun trash talking, shit talking the players, maybe get on their nerves, cost them a match, type of thing. I think it's a cool concept, So, we got to see the GOAT Andrew guy at the desk, man. Him and Ben Bateman should have took that shit over by now and did a whole week of them on the desk, NWO style, outsiders, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. Come on, guys. Let's do that.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting to see Andrew Guy at the desk. I gotta say, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
You would have to if you ever put the Lions Den or Team Action at the commentary desk, you would have to get somebody on screen to sign whatever they are saying, because I would have to put earplugs in my ears to avoid the annoyance of those teams. Good God, I cannot stand either of them. I mean, you know it's bad when you'd rather beat yourself over the head with a brick to experience a more pleasant sound than the Lions Den or Team Action.
All right, well, I think that's a pretty high note to end on. So, James, I'll throw it to you. Where can everybody find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at James Schmo. You can find me on YouTube at James Schmo or on Twitter at James E. Schmo. You'll see me doing Schmoedown reactions, death battle reactions from time to time, movie trailer reactions. You'll find me there doing my show Sweating It Out, where a bunch of sweaty nerds just get together and nerd out over 3-4 hours, however long we decide to go. I'm also doing wrestling pay-per-view prediction shows and aftermath shows there. Haven's been a guest there once or twice, so be on the lookout for those. You can also find me here at Jack of All Trivia, doing the Wrestling League, the movie leagues, the Inner Geekdom League. Hopefully we'll have some stuff going on with that soon. And you can also find me here all the time on Schmoedown All Access.
And Haven?
Ari, you can find me on Facebook, man. Jack of All Trivia. You know, we be there all the time, man. And then, of course, if you like what we do, you find us on YouTube, man. The beautiful place where everybody has videos. And that's, of course, on Jack of All Trivia. If you don't know what I'm talking about, man, you better watch Luke Cage Season 2. It's just dropped. Bushmaster. Villain for life. NWO.
And you can find me on YouTube at Christopher Woodburn, Twitter, Chris Woodburn 83, Facebook, Christopher Michael Woodburn. And if you do Schmoedown reactions, trailer reactions, come join the MTS Fan Reaction League on Facebook. And this has been episode 7 or episode 6, I'm not sure, of Schmoedown All Access. If you'd like to join us in the future, come hit me up. Love to have you on if you're a Schmoedown fan. So until next week, for James, for Haven, I'm C-Dub. Peace.
One love.